Saskatchewan is Canada's strongest economy, the lowest unemployment rate. Everyone knows about Saskatchewan wheat and uranium and oil and gas, especially in the Bakken geological formation. But what about potash? What exactly is potash? Well, here's Lisa Mrazek to tell us a bit of a potash story. Take a look.
Look up and you'll see why Saskatchewan is known as the land of living skies. Take a walk down a country road and you'll see why this is also the land of living resources. And right underneath our feet lies even more potential, even more activity. The land is saturated with an abundance of natural resources: oil, uranium, and what's often referred to as pink gold. The Prairie Province has rich reserves of potash. Almost half of the world's supply is right here in Saskatchewan. The pink mineral is a key ingredient in fertilizers used for crops and livestock feed. Energy and Resources Minister Tim McMillan says the demand for potash from agriculture industries around the world continues to grow significantly, and so Saskatchewan is very well positioned.
When we see the growth in Asia, in China, in India, as their populations get wealthier, they want higher quality foods. And we're not creating more land, so we have to get higher production out of the land we have.
McMillan says new mines are currently under construction for the first time in nearly 40 years. Plus, in recent years, nearly $14 billion has been invested in brownfield expansion projects, and many junior companies are looking at developing mines in the province.
Vale, Rio Tinto, these companies that operate around the world have looked almost exclusively at Saskatchewan as they want to move their projects forward.
McMillan says the government has taken steps to ensure that Saskatchewan is an attractive investment jurisdiction, and One Saskatchewan First Nation has also been working to inspire investor confidence so that they can become a major player in resource development and elevate their economy. Chief Reginald Bellarose says their reserve is sitting on roughly 160 million tons of potash. That's enough for nearly 60 years of production, and so he has been working to break down barriers and promote his First Nation as a stable place to invest.
In terms of promote investment in Saskatchewan, in the economy, now we need to make a shift and bring that investment and stimulus on reserve.
He says one company does see the potential on their reserve. Encanto Potash Corporation, a Vancouver-based mining company, has partnered with Muskegon in an effort to develop the first potash mine on a Saskatchewan First Nation. Bellarose says they are working with Encanto, the government of Saskatchewan, and the federal government to create a model for resource development.
And the model we're choosing is a partnership model. There's no gun to anybody's head. It's a business model based on treaty to create a treaty-based economy where we would get to participate not only in collecting royalty, but employment, training, business development.
Bellarose says a project of this magnitude would create more opportunities for training, employment, and career building for their 1,700 residents.
We need badly to attract investment. We need outside money coming into our economy, our First Nation economy, and that way we have a chance. Because by generating our own revenue, becoming self-reliant, we can invest resources and money into our priorities. We've lost language, we've lost culture. You know, we need support in education, we need support in health, we need reinvestment.
Bellarose says their feasibility study should be completed in the new year, and then work can begin on finding investors to fund the project. Reporting on the Muskegon First Nation, I'm Lisa Mrazek with Sun News Network.
Oh boy, I watch that and I feel like cheering, not just for Saskatchewan and potash, but for that great progressive Indian chief. Well, joining us now to talk about it is Lisa Mrazek. Lisa, great to see you. I tell you, you are able to find stories of hope. I've never heard of that Chief Bellarose before. I wish he was the boss of the Assembly of First Nations. His message of entrepreneurship and getting things done, that's a totally different vocabulary than some of the more aggressive militant chiefs like Pam Palmater or at Elsa Pogtalk. Good for you. Tell me more about this chief.
Absolutely, Ezra. So you're right. He says that he is the only chief that he knows about that is developing or trying to develop a potash mine on reserve. So of course this is extremely progressive. We even did talk a little bit about the fact that there has been so much resistance to natural resource development across the country. And he says, you know what, he's been chief for 10 years and it's definitely not an easy task, this vision of his. And of course that vision is so that they can become self-reliant. They don't have to rely so much on provincial and federal funding, that they can, create their own source revenue. And so he said it's not easy because there is resistance. There is a little bit of resistance. He's talked about some rail line blockades on the reserve, some highway blockades, but it's really only about 5 or 6 people. He said a majority of people really do support this type of resource development. And he said there is really a sense of optimism on the reserve. So you're right. I wish we could see more of this on other reserves across the country. I believe we do have a clip of him as well. And here's a little more of him talking about the potential that these reserves can, or these mines can create.
But the challenge is a lot of our people reside off the reserve because of the, and when I say working, I'm not saying they're all making exorbitant amount of money, right? I mean they're employed, but it's more of a fixed income. Right. So this would allow us to move into careers and move into better paying opportunities.
Oh, that's so hopeful. Boy, that guy talks about jobs. He's thinking about the right stuff. Lisa, you also talked to Tim McMillan, who's the resources minister in Saskatchewan. He's a good egg. And he talked about the certainty and security with doing business in Saskatchewan as opposed to other jurisdictions in the world. And this Indian chief sounds like he wants to make his reserve an economically reliable place to invest. You got a clip from Tim McMillan. Can we play that and take a look at it?
In order to create sort of that business-friendly environment?
Yes, we want to be a very competitive investment jurisdiction. We want to have competitive royalties, we want to have the skilled workforce, and we have all those things. We also have political security and stability. And in the potash world, we have the world's largest and richest resource. Number 2 is Russia and Belarus. And we've seen in the last few months the CEO of a major potash company got thrown in prison in one of those countries. There has been turmoil in the industry because of political instability.
I tell you, I see your shows on Saskatchewan and the jobs there and how Aboriginal folks are getting jobs. It makes me want to move to Saskatchewan every time. Last word to you, my friend.
Well, there you go. Yes, it's definitely an optimistic place to be. And with companies like this coming onto reserve, it looks like, I know the chief has said to me that he is hoping that this is just one of many mines that they're able to create on their reserve. And he's hoping other reserves will also get on board as well and look at doing some natural resource development so that they can be a very self-reliant community, Ezra.
That's amazing. I tell you, I love the good news stories because there's so many stories of bad news. Lisa, you keep doing an amazing job from Canada's strongest province. We'll talk to you again soon.